My parents invested heavily in one sibling while ignoring me. But after I built independent income and professional standing, I reshaped expectations through self-reliance and steady financial discipline. We need you to chip in $15,000 for your brother's new business venture. My mother said it like she was asking me to pass the salt. I stood in their kitchen, coffee mug frozen halfway to my lips. Excuse me. Your brother needs capital for his consulting startup, my father added, not looking up from his newspaper. He's got such a brilliant business plan this time. This time. Those two words told you everything. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I'm 32, a financial analyst at a mid-sized firm in Seattle. Single, renting a decent apartment, building my investment portfolio one careful decision at a time. My brother is 35. I'm not giving him $15,000, I said. My mother's face did that thing where disappointment and shock merged into something almost theatrical. He's your brother. He's also a grown man who's had 4 failed businesses in 6 years. My father finally lowered the newspaper. His eyes had that look I'd seen my entire childhood. The one that said I was being unreasonable, selfish, not a team player. This family supports each other, he said. Does it? The question came out sharper than I intended. My mother set down her own mug hard enough that coffee sloshed onto the counter. What's that supposed to mean? I could have walked away. Should have, probably. But something in me had reached a limit I didn't know existed until that moment. How much did you spend on his MBA? I asked. That's not. $80,000, wasn't it? Plus living expenses for 2 years. My father's jaw tightened. Your brother had potential. He needed the right opportunities. And what did I get for college? Silence. The kitchen clock ticked like a countdown. You got student loans, my mother finally said. Which you paid off, so I don't see why you're being bitter about. I paid them off because I worked full-time while taking classes, I said. I paid them off because I lived in a studio apartment with 2 roommates for 4 years after graduation. You were always more independent, my father said. Your brother needed more guidance. Independent. That word had followed me my entire life like a shadow I couldn't shake. Independent meant I didn't need help. Independent meant I figured things out alone. Independent meant they could focus everything on my brother while I scraped by on willpower and 50-hour work weeks. I'm not giving him the money, I repeated. My mother stood up, chair scraping against tile. Then I suppose we know where your priorities are. Yeah, I said quietly. I suppose you do. I left before the guilt could sink its teeth in deeper. The drive back to my apartment took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of my mother's voice echoing in my head. 40 minutes of replaying every family dinner where my brother's latest scheme got dissected with enthusiasm, while my 401k contributions got a polite nod. My phone rang before I made it to my building. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello. Hey, it's me. My brother's voice. Of course. Mom said you're being difficult about the investment. Investment. He called it an investment like I'd see returns beyond family resentment. I'm not being difficult, I said. I'm being realistic. This business is different. I've got a real plan this time. You had a real plan for the food truck, and the app, and the drop shipping thing. Those were learning experiences. I pulled into my parking spot and killed the engine. Learning experiences that cost Mom and Dad over $150,000. They wanted to help me find my path. Find his path. Meanwhile, I'd been expected to already know mine at 18. I worked my way through college, I said. I know you love bringing that up. Do you know why I bring it up? He sighed, that particular sigh that meant he thought I was being dramatic. Because you're bitter. Because I wanted help too. The admission hung in the air between us. You never asked for help, he said finally. You just did everything yourself. I asked Dad to co-sign my student loans. He said it would be better if I learned financial responsibility early. I don't remember that. You wouldn't. You were at your private campus apartment that they were paying for. Silence on his end now. Look, he said after a moment. I'm sorry you feel like things were unequal, but that's in the past. Right now, I need family support. You've had family support your entire life. And what? Now you're cutting me off out of spite. I leaned my head against the steering wheel. I'm not cutting you off. I'm setting a boundary. Same difference. No, it's really not. He hung up without saying goodbye. 3 days passed before my mother called again. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message immediately because I'm weak like that. Your father and I have decided to loan your brother the money ourselves. I hope you can live with forcing us to drain our retirement savings because you're too selfish to help family. Call me when you've thought about what kind of person you want to be. I played it twice, analyzing her tone like I analyzed financial reports. Guilt weaponized into a precision instrument. The retirement savings line was particularly inspired. They had over $2 million in various accounts. 15,000 wouldn't make a dent, but it made me sound like I was stealing from their golden years. I didn't call back. Work became my refuge. Numbers didn't have expectations. Spreadsheets didn't guilt trip you for having boundaries. My colleague, Miguel, noticed me staying later than usual. "You avoiding something?" he asked, dropping into the chair beside my desk. "Or someone? Family stuff?" "Oh." He nodded knowingly. The universal escape motivation. Miguel was 45, divorced, with 2 kids he actually seemed to like. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Shoot. If one of your kids needed money for a business, would you give it to them?" He leaned back, considering. "Depends. Is the business viable? Have they done the research? What's their track record?" Track record is 4 failures. Research is optimistic at best. Then no, I wouldn't, even if they really believed in it. "Belief doesn't pay invoices," Miguel said. "I'd offer to help them make a realistic plan. Maybe connect them with a mentor. But just handing over cash? That's not help. That's enabling. Try telling my parents that. Are they the ones asking? They're the ones calling me selfish for refusing." Miguel whistled low. "That's rough. But you know what? Being the responsible one in a family of enablers is a lonely position." "Yeah," I said. "I'm getting that." 2 weeks later, my brother's consulting business launched. I saw it on social media. Professional website, logo, the works. Definitely more than $15,000 worth of works. The comments section was full of family friends congratulating him. My mother had shared it with a caption, "So proud of my entrepreneurial son. Dreams really do come true with dedication and family support." Family support. The phrase felt like a knife between my ribs. I closed the app and opened my investment portfolio instead. My Roth IRA had crossed 90,000. My brokerage account sat at 42,000. Emergency fund fully loaded at 6 months of expenses. I'd built all of it alone. Every dollar a small act of defiance against being forgotten. The family group chat exploded the next day. My aunt had apparently asked why I wasn't involved in my brother's business. My mother's response came in paragraph form. "Some people choose to support their family in times of need, and others choose to prioritize their own interests. We can't force someone to care about their brother's success. We can only hope that eventually he'll realize what's truly important in life." My aunt's reply, "Oh dear." My uncle's reply, "Tough situation." My cousin's reply, "Wait, what happened?" I typed out 17 different responses, deleted all of them, finally sent, "Congratulations on the launch. I hope it goes well. Professional, distant, safe." My brother replied privately, "That's it. That's all you have to say. What do you want me to say? An apology would be nice." I stared at my phone like it had grown teeth. An apology for what? For not supporting me. For making mom and dad feel like they had to choose between their kids. They didn't have to choose. They've always chosen. "You're so dramatic. And you're so oblivious." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Fine. Be that way. Don't come crying to me when you're old and alone because you burned all your family bridges." "I'm not the one who burned them," I typed. "I'm just the one who stopped pretending they were still standing." He went offline. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 3 months later, my mother called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered because I'm an idiot who hasn't learned his lesson. "I'm at the hospital." My stomach dropped. "What happened?" "Is Dad okay?" "Your father's fine. It's your brother." "What?" "He had a breakdown. Severe anxiety attack. They're keeping him overnight for observation." I pulled over to the side of the road. "Is he going to be okay?" "Physically, yes." Her voice cracked. "But mentally, the business failed. He lost all the investment money in 2 months. He's devastated." 2 months. $15,000 in 2 months. "I'm sorry," I said, and I meant it. Whatever our history, I didn't want my brother suffering. "Are you, what? Are you really sorry? Or are you satisfied that you were right?" The question hit like a slap. "Mom, I would never." He kept saying he couldn't face us. Couldn't face the family. Said everyone would think he was a failure. He's not a failure. "But you think his business was doomed from the start, don't you? You said as much." I closed my eyes. "That doesn't mean I wanted this to happen. But you didn't try to help prevent it either. By giving him money for a business plan that wasn't viable. By being his brother." Her voice rose. "By believing in him even when the odds were bad. Believing in someone doesn't change market realities, Mom. Everything isn't about numbers and logic. And everything isn't about blind faith either. She was quiet for a long moment. Your father and I have been talking, she said finally. We think it might be best if you didn't come to family gatherings for a while. Your brother needs support right now, not judgment. I wasn't planning on judging. Your presence is judgment enough. The line went dead. I sat in my parked car for 20 minutes. Miguel's words came back to me. Being the responsible one in a family of enablers is a lonely position. Lonely didn't begin to cover it. I drove to the hospital anyway. Visiting hours were almost over, but I convinced the nurse I was his brother, which, technically, I was. Even if my mother had just uninvited me from being family. He was in a private room, staring at the ceiling. Hey, I said from the doorway. He turned his head slowly. His eyes were red-rimmed, exhausted. What are you doing here? Mom called. Of course she did. He laughed bitterly. Probably wanted you to see the wreckage firsthand. I stepped into the room. How are you feeling? How do you think? Pretty terrible, I'd guess. He looked back at the ceiling. You were right. Happy now? No, I said honestly. I'm not. Could have fooled me. I pulled a chair over and sat down. I didn't want your business to fail. I just didn't want to fund something I didn't believe in. What's the difference? The difference is I can care about you and still have boundaries. He was quiet for a moment. Everyone believed in me except you. Everyone enabled you except me, I corrected gently. There's a difference. Sounds the same from where I'm sitting. Does it? I leaned forward. Did anyone ask to see your business plan? Your financial projections? Your market research? Mom and Dad trusted me. Trust isn't a business strategy. Not everything is about strategy. His voice broke. Sometimes people just need support. I know, I said. But support without accountability isn't support. It's just postponing failure. He finally looked at me. Really looked at me. You sound like you've thought about this a lot. I have. Why? I took a breath. Because I spent my whole life watching them pour everything into you while I got crumbs and told I was independent enough to not need more. His face changed. I didn't know you felt that way. You didn't ask. You never said anything. I did. Once. Dad told me I was being jealous and immature. He absorbed that. I'm sorry, he said finally. For what? For not noticing. For taking everything they gave me like it was normal. Like everyone got that. It was the first real apology I'd heard from anyone in my family. Thanks, I said. We sat in silence for a while. The business really was terrible, wasn't it? He asked. Objectively? Yeah. Why didn't you just tell me that? Would you have listened? He smiled weakly. Probably not. Exactly. What do I do now? He asked. I've got nothing. No money, no prospects, no plan. Now you do what I did, I said. You get a regular job. You build slowly. You learn what actually works instead of chasing what sounds good. That sounds miserable. Parts of it are, I admitted. But parts of it are also solid. Real. Yours. He considered that. Would you help me? He asked quietly. With what? Building something real. Teaching me what you know. I studied his face for signs of manipulation or desperation. Found only exhaustion and something that looked like genuine humility. Yeah, I said. I'd help you. Even after everything, you're still my brother. His eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry I called you selfish. I'm sorry your business failed. I'm sorry for a lot more than that, he said. But I don't know how to fix it. You start by fixing yourself, I told him. The rest comes after. He was released the next day. My parents picked him up. My mother didn't acknowledge me in the parking lot. My father gave me a nod that might have been respect or might have been exhaustion. I drove home alone. A week later, my brother called. I got a job, he said. Yeah. Customer service at a tech company. It's entry level. It's boring. It pays $38,000 a year. That's great. Is it though? He sounded uncertain. After everything I've tried to build, I'm back to square one. Square one is underrated, I said. It's the only square that's actually real. He laughed, still bitter, but less so. Will you help me set up a budget? Of course. And maybe, look at my finances. Figure out what I actually owe. Send me your statements. There are a lot of them. I figured. Silence. Thanks, he said, for not writing me off. You're welcome. 2 months passed. My brother paid off his first credit card. Small, only $1,200, but he called me like he'd summit Everest. I did it, he said. Paid in full. Zero balance. How does it feel? Weird. Good weird. Like I actually accomplished something. You did. I've got 9 more to go. One at a time, I said. My parents didn't call. The family group chat stayed quiet. I posted updates about my life. A hiking trip, a new certification at work, a book I'd read. Generic things that didn't invite drama. My mother viewed every single one. Never commented. For months after the hospital, my brother asked me to meet for coffee. He looked different. Thinner, but in a healthy way. Less of the desperate energy that used to radiate off him. I need to tell you something, he said once we sat down. Okay. I talked to Mom and Dad about how they treated us differently. My stomach tightened. How did that go? Badly at first, he admitted. Dad got defensive. Mom cried. But I didn't back down. What did you say? I told them they'd set me up to fail by never letting me struggle. And they'd set you up to succeed by forcing you to. I stared at my coffee. What did they say? Dad said they were just trying to help me find my way. Mom said you never seemed to need help. Of course she did. But I pushed back, he said. I told them that just because you didn't ask didn't mean you didn't need. And that giving me everything didn't help me. It just made me dependent. How did they take that? Dad left the room. Mom said I was being ungrateful. Sounds about right. But then, he paused. Then Mom came to my apartment 2 days later. Alone. And she cried. Really cried. Said she didn't know how to fix what she'd broken. Something in my chest cracked. What did you tell her? I told her she couldn't fix it. But she could start by acknowledging it. And she asked if you'd be willing to have dinner. Just the four of us. No expectations, no lectures. Just talking. I wanted to say no. Wanted to protect the peace I'd built in the silence. I don't know, I said. I told her you'd probably say that, he said. And that you'd have every right to. But I'm asking anyway. Not for them. For me. I looked at him. Why? Because I'm trying to build something real, remember? And I can't do that if my family is broken. It's been broken for a long time. I know, he said. But maybe we can break it less. The dinner happened 2 weeks later. Neutral restaurant, nothing fancy. My mother looked smaller somehow. My father looked older. Thank you for coming, my mother said as I sat down. I nodded. Your brother tells us you've been helping him with his finances, my father said. I have. That's good of you. The conversation felt like walking through a minefield. Every word carefully placed, every pause loaded with history. I owe you an apology, my mother said suddenly. The table went still. I've been thinking a lot about what your brother said. About how we treated you differently. And I realize now that we did. Why? I asked. Why did you? She looked at her hands. Your brother always struggled. With school, with direction, with confidence. And you just seemed to figure things out. We thought we were helping him catch up to where you already were. But you weren't helping him catch up, I said quietly. You were holding him back. And pushing me away. I know that now. My father cleared his throat. I told you once that you were independent. That your brother needed more guidance. I was wrong. You needed guidance too. We just didn't see it because you didn't fall apart when you didn't get it. The admission hung in the air. I needed you, I said. I needed you to see me struggling and help anyway. Not because I asked, but because I was your son. My mother's eyes filled. I'm so sorry. Me too, my father added. We failed you. There's no other way to say it. I felt something release in my chest. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. I don't know how to fix this, I said. Neither do we, my mother said. But maybe we can try. It's been 6 months since that dinner. Things aren't perfect. My mother still occasionally makes comments that reveal she doesn't fully understand the damage. My father still defaults to praising my brother's smallest accomplishments while taking mine for granted. But there's movement. Small shifts. My mother calls me now, not just when she needs something. My father asked about my investment strategy last month, genuinely interested. My brother paid off his 7th credit card. He's applying to business school, but this time with 3 years of work experience and a realistic plan. This time, he asked me to review his application essays. Be honest, he said, even if it's harsh. They're good, I told him. But this paragraph here, it reads like you're making excuses for the failures instead of showing what you learned. He nodded, took notes, rewrote it. Better, he asked. Much better. Thanks for not giving me money, he said suddenly. What? 3 years ago. Thanks for not funding that disaster. I needed to fail on my own. You're welcome, I said, even though it made everyone hate me at the time. Especially because of that, he said. It meant you loved me enough to let me learn. I'm still single, still renting my apartment, still building my portfolio one careful decision at a time. But I'm not alone anymore. Not in the way I used to be. My investment accounts crossed 200,000 last week. I'm on track to retire at 55 if I want. Maybe earlier. Financial independence has always been my goal. Not because I'm naturally independent like my parents thought, but because I learned early that the only person I could truly count on was myself. That's still mostly true. But now my brother texts me budget updates without me asking. My mother sends articles about financial planning with notes like, "Thought you might find this interesting." My father asked if I'd help him optimize his retirement accounts. Small things, but they add up. Just like compound interest. Just like the years I spent building something solid while everyone else chased shortcuts. I don't regret saying no 3 years ago. I don't regret the boundaries I set or the distance I maintained. Those decisions saved me. But I also don't regret saying yes to dinner, or yes to helping my brother rebuild, or yes to letting my parents try to do better. Because here's what I've learned. Financial independence is crucial. It's the foundation everything else builds on. But emotional independence doesn't mean isolation. It means choosing your connections from a place of strength, not need. It means letting people earn their place in your life instead of granting it by default. It means saying no when no protects you, and yes when yes serves growth. My parents invested heavily in one sibling while ignoring me. That's a fact that doesn't change. But I invested heavily in myself. And that investment paid returns they never imagined. Not just in money, though that matters, but in self-respect, in boundaries, in the quiet confidence that comes from building something real with your own hands. They thought I was independent because I didn't need help. They were wrong. I was independent because I learned to help myself when no one else would. And then I learned to let others in without losing that foundation. That's the real success. Not the portfolio balance or the paid-off loans or the career progression, but the fact that I built a life I'm proud of on my own terms. And when my family finally showed up, I had something solid enough to let them in without it crumbling. That's worth more than any investment they could have given me.